Hello there, this is James Cousineau. Some of you may know me from my stand-up comedy over the decades at different venues and online. Some may know me as an actor in the Vancouver area with background and supporting roles in hundreds of shows. And some may know me still as a co-host on Savage TV's show Perspectives. But today I wanted to reach out and talk to you about health. And this is because I received a letter today from the Hereditary Cancer program through the Cancer Center in British Columbia and across Canada. Now, of course, you know that I joke about different types of men's cancer or cancer in general in some of my shows. And the fact that I am a smoker and people tell me to quit smoking because I am likely going to get lung cancer. Now, most people in my family die of colon cancer, so if I can get politicians to quit blowing smoke up my ass, I should be okay. With that said, of course, you know, I don't vape because I like my cancer the old-fashioned way, in a cigarette, not in an electronic device that explodes in my face. But let's get back to seriousness here. People call me an asshole all the time, and as I am an asshole, of course, I have to be aware of colon cancer and other cancers in that region. This is something that is very prevalent in my family, and I can't encourage men and women enough to go and get checked and be very diligent on that. With our family, of course, there are people who have succumbed to cancer at very young ages. I'm talking 20s. And such, and it tends to be a very aggressive form of colon cancer and other internal issues. So this is something that is very close to my heart in terms of really giving people the tools and the education about the hereditary cancer program. Now, essentially what this is they do a DNA and genetic screening. And you can tell at that point if you're at a higher risk of certain forms of cancer. It's a very simple test that they utilize your DNA, whether that's saliva or blood tests, and that helps them to look at the breakdown and see if you have any of the mutations that would signify a much higher risk of developing cancer in your health future. A lot of men don't like the idea of getting the colonoscopy done. I mean, who does? Nobody really enjoys the thought, let alone the procedure. But it is an important procedure to get done. And if you are at a higher risk of getting these cancers, of course, they want to start you younger. And that's where the DNA testing and the genetic testing can come into play. If you do have the genetic markers or mutations that are a warning indicator, then they'll look at doing more frequent colonoscopies at much younger ages. So it's not something that only impacts people at the older stages of life. It can be something that impacts the young, and it's very important to make sure that you have that screening. Many people are not aware of this program or the ability for them to look at genetics to find out if you have a predisposition to cancer. So it's important to me to raise that awareness. Now, of course, if you are involved in the hereditary cancer program, I've covered up my address on this letter, but here is the letter that I've received from, and it's a bit blurry from the camera angle. But again, I'll just go over some of the key points of it. And what they're doing is that if you are involved in the hereditary cancer program, they would like to do some surveying just to get more information as to how they can support and move forward with the program to better benefit those involved. So it just goes on that the hereditary cancer program is contacting everyone in British Columbia and the Yukon who has a mutation in their hereditary cancer gene and is invited to take part in the follow-up services by completing a survey. This means that you have a change or a mutation in one of your genes that makes it more likely that you will develop cancer. Now, yes, I do understand that. I'm scheduled every year, as are many people in my family, for the colonoscopies. Unfortunately, I'm a few years behind because the doctor I now have didn't know what this was about. She didn't really believe that it was a thing. And once she did, then because she hasn't received copies of the last report from about 3 or 4 years ago, she refuses to do any more referrals for colonoscopies for me until she gets that. So I've had to try to reach out to find out how to get this report to her, given that my oncologist and such has passed away since then. So I'm not sure who the doctor is that did the last one. So again, it should be up to the doctor to be able to log into the medical services site and figure that out. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Maybe in the next few years, I'll be able to track that down and find out who the doctor was and get a copy of that report for her. But until then, I guess it's one of those just wait and see, or find another doctor that's willing to actually work with me on that. But in any event, it is important to get screens, so I will definitely, I say, in the next few years, but it's definitely not going to wait that long. It's going to be something that's done fairly soon to either get this doctor to move forward or to find another doctor, which is not easy in the British Columbia healthcare system. There is such a shortage of family doctors. It is very difficult to actually get a family doctor, let alone one that you can trust and have knowledge of the hereditary cancer program and the genetics of it. So they are just looking to do a quick survey. So I have responded to their email to let them know that I definitely will be involved in that, because I think that not only if it benefits my family or myself in the future for support with the cancer treatments and so forth, then it's worth it. But also if it helps strangers to get the supports or to further the hereditary cancer screening for others, I think is very valuable as well. So that is basically what I wanted to bring up with you. And remember that cancer is a impossible thing to eradicate at this point, but I'm hoping that in the future, with continued research and development, I'm hoping that it will become something that is just a side note in medical history and not something people have to worry about in the future. But until that time, of course, I encourage everyone to get regular screening, to make sure that if you have a history of cancer in your family through previous generations or through siblings and such where there is a high prevalence of cancer, I encourage you to get the genetic screening done. And if you need more information on it, by all means, send me a message, either via email or post it on social media, and I'd be happy to add links. I'll find out about the hereditary cancer programs in your region and send you the links to that so I can find out for you and give you that information. I encourage you to not put it off. I encourage you to be on top of it more than I obviously have been. But until then, I wish you good health and just take care of yourself and take care of each other out there. As I say at the end of every episode of Perspectives each day, take care and stay safe, everyone.